in South Bend.
Okay, we are live and good to go.
All right, thanks. Good morning, everyone. We'll begin with an invocation led by Sheriff Bailey, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Harrison. Those of you who wish to join, please stand.
If we could bow our heads, dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you and ask for guidance for the Berrien County Commissioners as they do business for the people of Berrien County. We ask that you give them guidance and strength as they make their decisions to improve our quality of life. We ask that you protect our armed forces, and we ask that you protect our law enforcement officers as they serve the citizens of Berrien County and across this country. Please give us strength today in this wonderful day that you've blessed us with. Amen.
Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, for liberty and forever. Amen.
Okay, we good now, Mick?
Are we all back together? Apparently there was an electronic glitch.
Yeah. So are we good for the roll call then? Good. I'm not sure what's going on. Something's going on with this video. There we go. Now it's moving. Can we do the roll call?
Yes, please.
Val,
Present via Zoom, City of St. Joseph.
Kern,
Present via Zoom, Niles Township.
Freeland,
Present via Zoom, Baroda Township.
Harrison,
Present via Zoom from Lincoln Township.
Hinkleman, Majerick,
Present via Zoom, City of Niles.
Meeks,
Present via Zoom, Benton Charter Township.
Scott,
Present via Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
Borat,
I'm right here in Coloma Township via Zoom.
Werfel,
Present via Zoom, Royalton Township.
Yarborough,
Manny, you're muted. There you go.
Present via Zoom, City of Benton Harbor.
Elliott,
Present, City of Buchanan. The audio seems to be out of sync for me, at least. We'll go to the approval of minutes, and then I'm going to mute my microphone as much as I can because I'm hoping we can get this resolved. Maybe we need IS to come in, but let's start with the minutes of April 22nd. Those have been out for a while in everyone's hands. If there are no changes to those minutes, a motion to approve would be in order.
I'll make that motion to approve those minutes.
I'll support Walrath.
Moved by Majerick, supported by Volrath. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kern,
Yes.
Freeland,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Majerick,
Yes.
Meeks,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Borat,
Yay.
Werfel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes. Madam Clerk, do we have communications this week?
Excuse me, yes. Wexford County Board of Commissioners, a resolution supporting passage of the legislation to adopt four-year terms for county commissioners received on April 22nd. Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners, a resolution denouncing threats of violence and affirming equal protection for all citizens received on April 22nd. Bay County Board of Commissioners, a resolution supporting Senate Bills 242 and 245 to enact four-year terms for county commissioners received April 26th. And Alger County Board of Commissioners, a resolution to support of local businesses received on April 28th. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. We're at the point of presentations on the agenda. I'm thinking maybe if you're not speaking, it would be good to mute your microphone. Hopefully that will attenuate the feedback. Brian, do you want to handle the presentations?
Yep. All right, so members of the board, we have the team from BC BIT, and that includes Commissioners Freeling, Commissioners Curran, Commissioner Scott, but we also have team members from Merit Network, and then also from Southwest Michigan Planning Commission on. There will be a presentation that we'll be diving into in just a second. However, we have our elected treasurer in the room, Shelley White, is going to offer just a brief update to the board, and then we'll pivot into the presentation. So for the Merit folks, just a couple of more minutes, then we'll get started.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, Board of Commissioners. Just a brief update on the 2021 foreclosures. We currently have 123 parcels going to auction this year. Our numbers are drastically down compared to prior years. I think it helped. We did a reminder posting in February, March to give a final call to those owing the 2018 and prior taxes. I even took the extra step to specifically post structures to see if there was occupancy or not. Even with the one last attempt, we did foreclose on 3 occupied houses, 3 unoccupied houses, 2 unoccupied businesses, an unoccupied apartment building, 81 vacant lots, and 1 unoccupied boat slip. We will be having an online only auction again this year. The date is set for August 24th with the same vendor we used last year, Title Check. Due to a change in statute for this year, an owner or any interested party at the time of foreclosure may file an intent to claim excess tax foreclosure proceeds. This intent claim is to be filed with the county treasurer by July 1st of 2021. Once the auctions are completed, by January 31st of 2022, those that did file a claim with the treasurer will be notified if there were any excess proceeds on that property. If there were, then they must file a claim with the circuit court between February 1st and May 15th. The judge will hear the case and then determine the order of the distribution of the excess proceeds. Currently, the distribution of excess proceeds is for the 2021 auction only. The determination of prior years is yet to be determined. The form that they can use to file the intent to claim with the treasurer can be found on the Berrien County Treasurer website. There is a link that'll take you to that form, or it's also available on the michigan.gov website as well. That's just a brief update. If anyone has any questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like no questions.
Okay, Matt is
All
coming
right.
in.
Sorry, I had to switch Wi-Fi. If there aren't any questions for Shelley, we'll move on then to Merit Network, if that's all right.
All right, so Mr. Chair, we have a growing team from the folks at Merit Network. So just bear with us as Annette is letting people into the Zoom. Purette is here, she is in the Zoom. And we have Purette, John Engelhoff, and then Commissioner Freeling, who are going to offer some comments to the board. And then as the board is observing, we'll move into a slideshow. The slideshow that you all will see today, I've already got copies of it made, and I'll get it posted into the weekly update, and we'll work on getting it posted onto the county's website as well. All right, John, Purette, Terry, you all ready?
Yes, sir. I'm going to share my PowerPoint now. If you could confirm with me that you could see this.
Yes.
Excellent. So, John, I would love to bring it to you to begin the presentation.
Okay, my pleasure. I think the group is really delighted to be in a position to present the findings of the work. It's been a process, and we want to make sure you're comfortable with where we've been and how we've gotten to the point where we are today. So we'll cover a little bit of that, but anyway, it's a great pleasure to be able to be in this position today. So let me talk a little bit about the presenters today. Your own Commissioner Terry Freeling will be one of them. I am another. I'm the director of the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission here in Benton Harbor. And you've already heard from Purette Renee Dagg, who is the director of marketing at Merit. She's been an amazing resource, and over time has really been the go-to contact for us at Merit, and has really answered every question we could have possibly thought of. Dr. Michael Kalitsis is a research scientist at Merit. He'll help us through some of the details of the data collection. Dr. Johannes Bauer is the Quello Chair for Media and Information Policy at MSU, and also a very important member of the team in that he's helped construct the survey. And Ben Feynman is the president of Michigan Broadband Alliance, also an amazing resource expert, a source of incredibly valuable information throughout the project. And I owe him a personal thanks for what a great contact he's been for me as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the agenda. You ready for that, Purette? Can we pop over to that slide?
Yep. We should be seeing it. Maybe there's a bit of a delay. Do you see that, John?
Yes, we're there now.
Okay.
We'll spend the majority of our time talking about the last three items on the agenda, but we will, you've already gotten introductions. We'll talk a little bit about the history of the broadband gap in Berrien County and the formation of the Berrien County Broadband Internet Task Force, how that all came together. We'll also talk a little bit about the organization that I lead, the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, and its role in this work. Then there'll be a project overview that Purette will talk through, and we'll get into data collection methods just to make sure you understand kind of the science behind it all. And then, of course, the presentation of the findings, where the real heart of things is. And then we couldn't do this presentation without talking about next steps. So Commissioner Freeling will give us some guidance on that. Commissioner Freeling.
Yes. So not to belabor this too much, as many of the commissioners know how the Broadband Task Force was created, but for those who are joining us from the public and others, just to kind of give a little bit of history, certainly we've been aware that there's been some sort of a digital divide and a gap here within Berrien County. And so in 2010, 2018, looking at the FCC maps and what was reported, and it's stating that Berrien County had over 95% access to what was then defined as broadband, made us realize that we probably needed to dig a little bit deeper. And this board was incredibly proactive in taking the initiative to partner with Southwest Michigan Planning Commission and reach out to other resources that we had throughout the community and the region, which ultimately led this board turning to our goals and objectives and making it a priority to improve connectivity throughout Berrien County, which led to the creation of the Berrien County Broadband Internet Task Force, which is called BC BIT, in 2019 and 2020, which has led to the work that has happened through Merit Network and the other experts that we have here on the call. And so I applaud the efforts of this board and the work that we have in front of us, and I look forward to seeing the findings of this survey. John, back to you.
Thank you. This is where I get an opportunity to talk a little bit about how the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission has been involved. Commissioner Freeling talked a bit about the process that the commissioners have gone through in order to establish the development of broadband in the county as a priority. When that happened, we were probably back into the fourth quarter of 2019. And that's when the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission was identified as a partner to the county to try to make that happen. So we've been in this kind of fact-finding mode for a kind of a good while on this project. We built a relationship with Merit in January of 2020 that conversation started. And since then, we've been establishing what our next steps ought to be, how that process needed to look. And we've been with you every step of the way at Southwest Michigan Planning Commission as a partner.
Thanks, John. I believe, as all of you may be aware, just as a little bit of a review, Merit Network is the longest running research and education network in the United States. So we are owned and operated by Michigan's public universities, and our organization is governed by 12 of the 13 public university CIOs in Michigan. We run 4,000 miles of fiber optic infrastructure, and we provide network security and community services to other nonprofits throughout the state of Michigan. And all of that is in support of our mission of connecting communities and building organizations in ways that promote the sharing of information and a free and open internet. Throughout the data collection process that we've been working on with various communities in Michigan, I just wanted to highlight a handful of projects that we have already completed. We completed a citizen scientist K-12 data collection pilot study with our K-12 students. We worked with the Quello Center to develop the Broadband and Student Performance Gap Research Findings Report. And we also recently completed the Washtenaw County Broadband Data Collection Task Force project, which was very similar to the project which we have undertaken in Berrien County. The goals of the project that we worked on in Berrien were to quantify availability and demand, so plainly to understand who has data access and who does not have access in Berrien County, and of those that don't have access, who wants it. We did this to produce unbiased, granular, and accurate household maps to understand visually who's served and unserved. We did this to inform infrastructure investment and to help challenge Federal Communications Commission's FCC formats for federal funding. So as you'll see a little bit later in the presentation, according to the FCC, there's quite a lot of Berrien County that the federal government believes is served by broadband internet access. And in fact, our survey is showing that there is a discrepancy between those rates. We wanted to understand residents' experiences about broadband usage and the ways that this will impact their quality of life. We wanted to understand their positions about broadband service and pricing availability in their area. We wanted a little bit more information about the county's K-12 student populations. And ultimately, this is going to surmise in an executive summary, visualizations, submerged databases, and GIS files, all of which will be provided today for all of the members of this committee to take a look at. Now, I would like to pass things over to Johannes Bauer, who is the Chair of Information Policy at the Coelho Center at MSU, just to talk a little bit about the development of the survey methodology.
Yes, thank you, Pierrette. Very nice to meet you all. I'm at the Coelho Center at Michigan State University, which is a research and outreach center. Among other areas that we're dealing with, we deal with communication infrastructure issues. And let me just preface this by saying the problems that you ran into, that there's a big discrepancy between what the official statistics show about broadband availability and the reality on the ground is an experience that is recurring all across the country, especially in rural areas. And it's an inaccuracy of the public statistics that was known for the past 10, 12 years. So it's not a new and a surprising reality, but it very little has been done to fix it. And so 4 years ago, the Coelho Center started to work with Merit to work on a method that could help overcome these deficiencies and come up with more granular and more accurate assessments of what the reality of broadband for residents and businesses on the ground actually is. And I think Pierrette will talk about the approach here, but I just wanted to give you this background about our collaboration. It has been a pleasure to work with Merit, who have taken the concepts that we helped develop initially to a really high level of practical proficiency and accuracy. So back to you, Pierrette.
Thank you, Johannes. Yes, we've certainly all benefited greatly from the expertise at the Coelho Center at MSU. For our specific survey, just to give you a brief idea of how we did our outreach, there was independent database preparation. We worked with a lot of community partners and community outreach organizations to help us spread the word throughout Berrien County. So you may have heard from them a little bit in various different sources. We developed a survey for the unserved populations and also a survey for the served populations, so those who do and do not have broadband internet access. And those that did have broadband internet access were also asked to complete a speed test so we would understand the speeds at which they are connected. I'm going to go over some of the participation rates here very briefly. Again, all of these materials have been, I believe, sent in advance, and we'll be providing all of these in more accurate detail. But you can see of the households that responded, this is just a brief look at our percentage rates of responses within our survey and the fraction of those who did have no broadband. Moving here, I would like to introduce Ben Feynman, who's the president of the Michigan Broadband Cooperative, to talk a little bit about the types of data that were collected throughout the various survey mechanisms.
Thank you, Pierrette. And my appreciation to the commissioners, not only for your time today, but for taking a leadership role on this important topic for your county. So as Pierrette mentioned on the previous two slides, probably the most important metric that we collected was figuring out if individual parcels have broadband or not, and did that by tying each survey response to a property parcel identifying number. And also for the people who have connectivity, asking each of them to take a speed test. So we're not relying on self-reporting of how fast is your internet connection. We have actual data from the speed test to quantify how fast their internet connection is. But beyond that, we also asked a number of other questions. So asking how many residents are at the address, because we know the need for additional bandwidth scales relatively linearly with how many people live at the household. Similarly, we asked how many students are at the address, because we've seen that there are significant demands for students who are undertaking online education, which during COVID was many more than usual, but even during normal times, this is a very important aspect that we'll talk more about later. What the service they're getting, or how it's delivered, which technology it's used to be delivered by, and we asked them what do they pay for today to understand the price to performance ratio and whether the value they're getting could be improved upon. And finally, we asked them the satisfaction with their ISP's current service. We've seen in a number of cases where a household might have access to service that meets the broadband threshold, but they're still not satisfied with it for other reasons. And yeah, with we can move to the next slide. With this data, we generated a host of different outputs, and so that's something that you'll see a little bit in this slide deck. But there's a bunch of visualizations that we don't have time to present today, which include maps exploring the data in different ways, graphs representing the different aspects, particularly of the demographic cross tabulations, and charts showing similar things. And this is all put together in an executive summary, which I understand you also received today, as well as a more detailed analysis. There is a GIS export, so that's your take home, if you will, to load into your own GIS system or use with future analysis efforts. And then a fully merged and clean database. And so this is, my kudos to Merit's data team for doing this. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, not only to merge the data sets from the folks that take the online survey and the folks that take the paper survey or other kinds of surveys, but also cleaning the data to exclude, people who took the speed test, but they had a VPN turned on. So it looks like they're taking the speed test from France or something like that. So we've cleaned up the data set and removed those kinds of things. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to one of the experts on the Merit side, which is McAllis. So take it away.
Thanks. So one of the things we discussed in the executive summary, as well as today, is the fraction of the population that has broadband experience. And we define broadband experience here as 25 down and 3 megabps up, which is the FCC definition. Now, like with any survey where we have to sample the population in order to get an estimate of the broadband density in our case, there is some uncertainty. And we're trying to quantify this uncertainty with the so-called margin of error. We use standard statistical tools in order to quantify this. And these tools take into account the total people that we surveyed, as well as the total population within the area we surveyed. And it turns out that for the whole county, this margin of error was about 2%, which is really good, is small. And for the individual townships, the margin of errors was between 5% and 20%. And we got these high-end values because of the smaller participation rates in some areas. And with this, I'll pass it to Pierrette to in fact show us some maps for broadband densities.
Thank you, Dr. Kalistos. So this is one of the maps that you'll be provided with. And what you can see here is that the graphic on the left is indicating the broadband density per census block. And this is based on the responses from our survey. So this map reflects all of the responses from our survey. And those who took this survey without broadband internet access are marked on this survey and denoted by that 0 speed, so that lightest green color. The graphic on the right is denoting the service availability of broadband based on the FCC maps. Of 1,062 census blocks in Berrien County, we found that 76% of these, based on those survey responses, were in fact customers who could not obtain service at their address, even though they're located in a census block that is reported as served on those maps. On this slide, what you'll see here is that the percentage of respondents, 52% fewer homes have access to broadband internet speed within our survey compared to standard FCC measurements. 21% fewer homes have some connectivity, but the speeds are lower than broadband speeds. And 31% of residents, 31% more homes have no internet connectivity whatsoever than is suggested by FCC maps. So on this slide, you can see that only 37% of residents within Berrien County were satisfied with the internet service that is provided at their homes. 40% of households in Berrien County have K-12 students, and 38% of those have broadband internet access. 34% of households with no K-12 students also reported, or they did report that they have internet speeds at broadband speeds are higher. 86% of the county residents that have no internet access Of those 86%, 12% stated that the price was too high. The remainder of those didn't have access due to availability. And 72% of the residents with no internet access indicated that they would be willing to pay between $26 and $100 for service per month. So this tells us that the majority of residents who do not have internet access at their properties would subscribe to service if it were available. So now I would like to bring this over and talk just a little bit about the homework gap. Ben, could you give us some more information on this?
Absolutely. So everybody knows intuitively that having broadband access is important for student success. Our friends at the Coelho Center, concluding and led by Dr. Bauer, did a study that quantified this in a way that hasn't been done before. And some of the things they found were, so specifically, students that don't have broadband at home, they take longer to complete their homework. They're more likely to leave homework unfinished, and they're less likely to do research and work with their peers on the internet. I should say this study was done before COVID, and so these effects are certainly going to have been exacerbated during COVID, but this was pre-COVID, and so during a normal time. And then long-term impacts for these students. Students lacking broadband at home will have lower grade point averages. They will have lower digital skills as compared to their peers. They have lower SAT scores as compared to their peers that have broadband, and they're less likely to go to college. So, quantifying the ways that we intuitively know broadband is critical for our students. And as it says on this slide, everything in this study was done using the FCC's current threshold for broadband, which is 25 megabit download, 3 megabit upload. We know this speed is out of date. And so industry experts today are suggesting that a more appropriate measure would be 100 megabit download and 100 megabits upload. And so we found that of the households participating in this survey, only 13, not 13%, 13 households, which is less than 0.5% of respondents, actually had broadband access at that level. And I will, on the next slide, just to kind of wrap it up before I turn it back to Commissioner Freeling. So the executive summary here is that broadband is critical for a community's ability to thrive and be competitive for lots of reasons, not just student success, but also economic development, retaining talent, having employment opportunities, especially since work from home is here to stay and is much more important than it has been before, and population growth. From the survey, we've quantified that much of Berrien County is unconnected or insufficiently connected. One of the most important things is we are successfully able to refute the FCC coverage maps that erroneously reported that Berrien County was something like 95% covered. So we know that's not true, and the problem is much worse than they would have suggested. And the last important note is that for the residents that are not connected, we know that they want to be connected. They aren't disconnected by choice. They're disconnected because access to the infrastructure doesn't exist. And for those residents who are connected, the majority of them believe that more provider options are needed. So with that, I will turn it back over to Commissioner Freeling.
And Purette, did you take off your screen? Stop sharing? Okay.
I did.
So the discussion now is what's next, right? So what we're seeing today is hot off the press. The board, along with the BC BIT task force, is looking at this together fresh and seeing the data as it was being relayed to us today through this presentation. And I want to thank all of you for being here and the work that was done. This is just the beginning steps of a long journey, but hopefully one that we can build confidence in our efforts that we're doing as a county and as a board as we move forward. And so what are those next steps? Obviously, we need to take and look at this executive summary, digest it, have the conversation of what do we do next. We've certainly figured out to some extent the who. Now the next questions are what why, how, and when. And so we need to sit down and have conversations with our community leaders, with those municipalities to do, our hope is to do some town halls, to relay the results of this survey to as many of the municipality and community leaders that we can, to really gain the support and momentum that's needed to figure out what those next steps are. And so we're certainly going to be looking at building a set of overall goals of what type of service is going to be the best fit and where throughout Berrien County, and how the county can proceed to help to facilitate those services, having those real conversations of where to put our time, our resources, and our talents at to make this become a reality throughout Berrien County. And what timetable sort of looks realistic as we move forward and have those conversations. And so I really, again, appreciate the work that has been done. And I hope that as the board has the opportunity to take a look at this executive summary, those questions that come to mind, that you will reach out to us and that we can answer those questions. And I certainly make this a call of action to all of you on this board to reach out to your municipalities. We'll have the data in front of us and we can have those real candid conversations of what broadband connectivity in Berrien County is going to look like and who could come to the table to partner with us for those efforts. Purette, I'm going to turn it back to you for closing.
So at this point, like I said, it's been very interesting as we've undergone this survey. I know that Johannes mentioned and also Ben mentioned the information that we found in Berrien County is not very different as far as the picture goes, both nationwide and from other data collection initiatives that have been undergone in Michigan. So the struggles that you're facing right now as a community are ones that all of our sister communities throughout the state of Michigan are all going through as well. And we absolutely hope that you benefit greatly from the study that we've provided. And we're certainly here to assist in any way we can in every step of the way. And with that, that's all Merritt has, unless there are questions from anyone else.
All right, thank you, everyone. The other two are on the county task force for broadband. Would you like to share thoughts?
Mac, Commissioner Scott, I just would like to say Terry and I started on this journey in 2018 at the Commerce Department in Washington, D.C. And it is so great that we're at this portion of information highway that we needed here as a Berrien County board. I would really like to send huge thank yous out to John Eaglehoff from Southwest Michigan Planning Commission. We could not be where we're at today without John's assistance. I would also like to thank Purette and Charlotte and everybody at Merritt. You were here via contract de facto, doing all of the work. Excellent presentation that I thought, a lot of information out there for all the commissioners to digest. And basically, I just like to say thank you and let the board know that this is just the start of our journey to provide broadband, high-speed broadband to all the residents of Berrien County. The townships, as you can see, some of those townships, like in mine, Weesaw Township, 88% do not have internet at all. And like the FCC maps we proved are wrong, and that'll help us in our journey of moving this forward and making Berrien County one of the leaders in the state to get broadband residents. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jim, do you have anything that?
I'd just like to echo what
what Ezra just said and thank Merit for all the hard work that they put into this. Appreciate it very much.
Other board members, questions, comments?
Yes, Chairman Elliott,
Yes, ma'am.
kind of remind me, this is Mamie Yarborough. Dollars came to us to be able to pay for the study and survey. Committee, can you let me know?
Brian.
Yeah, so Commissioner Yarborough, we're funding this. This is a $25,000 initial investment being funded with county funds. As we look to the future, the American Recovery Act does have an allocation of $30 million coming to Berrien County. One of the items that's specifically addressed in the Recovery Act is the construction of broadband. It is stated in the federal act. So as we look to the future, it would seem appropriate for the county to be leading conversations with the local units of government who will also be receiving Recovery Act money. If there is a desire, an appetite, and a potential partner out there from the local units who wish to attack the lack of broadband in the various communities. But again, that's a conversation that's not going to occur today, tomorrow. This is something that will take months before I think BC Bid is ready to announce any public partnerships that could come together.
Okay, thank you very much. And I thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you all.
Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Werfel. I have a couple of questions regarding the map.
Okay, Julie.
The map on page 14, the two questions, the black areas, what are those? They seem to be the same on both maps, but what do they indicate?
The black areas on those maps indicate areas that we did not have survey responses from.
And the FCC doesn't know what they are either in those areas?
Correct.
Okay, very good. And then my last question is, can we get an interactive map so that we can zoom in a little bit and things like that on our townships?
The GIS files that'll be delivered you'll be able to zoom in all the way to the individual property ID number, I believe.
Oh, wow. Great work. The presentation was excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Julie, Mamie, everyone else. If there are no other questions, then we'll thank the group again for taking the time to join us virtually, and we will move on to committee reports, starting with PHS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be glad to give the report for the Personnel and Human Services Committee. We met this morning, and we had a number of items that are on your agenda later on. We had representatives from the health department there. The first request was for permission to do single vendor contracts. One with King Media. This is the company that the health department had hired several years ago to do the initial promotional campaign regarding marijuana. This would be not using marijuana, and for some of the reasons for it. And so the health department would like to enter into the third year of that initiative for that public relations and information campaign. The second one related to contract with Spectrum Health. This is related to COVID. They're going to do some work as far as encouraging Berrien County residents to make sure they get their vaccines. So we, committee, considered both those requests and approved them. Second thing that we did, we looked at a couple board appointments, and they're up on your agenda later on. And then also we looked at a number of resolutions that will surface on your agenda next week with United Way, City of Niles, Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, a couple grant applications, and then also the one that's on the consent agenda, recognizing May 9th through the 15th as Public Health Week. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions regarding those, or we'll cover them later on the agenda.
Anyone have any questions for PHS? Well, Bob, apparently you did such a complete job that no one has any questions.
Well, typically,
So-
Commissioner Scott wants to know how many people attended virtually, and there were 8 at our meeting. So just so he knows.
It's like the Nielsen meetings for committee meetings, I guess.
And that's okay, Mac. We will give that, Mamie will give our report in finance, and we'll see how that falls. Thank you.
All right, well, with that segue, Madam Chair, would you please tell us about the Finance Committee?
Mamie, you're muted.
You need to unmute.
Yeah.
There you go.
I said it was a very good meeting. All our committee was present. And then we had many bids and waivers, and staff from those different departments were there to be able to explain things to us. And our meeting started off with a presentation from Dan Fetty, who is our Director of the Economic Development and Community Development Department. And it was to bring more good news that there is a brownfield plan to work with Whirlpool at the St. Joe Tech Center. Am I echoing? To work with the
Keep going, I'm going to.
to work with the Whirlpool St. Joe Tech Center in their $60 million project that has just been announced. When it gets down to it, it really totals over $7.4 million, and it is an eligible activity for brownfields. That is how the county is involved in it. And we'd like to let you know that we had an excellent explanation, maps and all, and that Dan Fetty will come to the full board next Thursday at 10:30 a.m. There will be a public hearing, and he will explain it all to us and what our involvement will be to help this to happen, and knowing that it will start immediately. So great things are being done in our communities by Whirlpool, with the apartments, with the expansion and rehabilitation of the building that is there. But you'll see a map, and hopefully you all know where it is. Then the next thing that we did was Jake Lideker came to us from the finance department with bids. And I would like to ask Commissioner Freeling if she would explain the bids to us. And then there are a number of waivers that I would like to explain. So Commissioner Freeling.
Madam Chair, you're going to explain the waivers then?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, we did open a few bids. We had 4 in total. The first one was for community development related to the Berrien County Master Plan that we do every 5 years. And so we opened that bid. McKinney was the only bidder from Northville, Michigan, for an amount of $59,500. So we referred that back to committee to review and see if it meets the specifications. The next was bid 2021-046. This was for trial courts, and it was for period advocacy. This is social worker position for the juvenile department. And I believe they were asking for two positions for a total of $90,000. They received 1 bid for $45,000. So we again referred that back to the courts to be able to review and make sure that that met specifications. The next item was 2021-047. This was a bid that was sent out on behalf of the road department. It was for weed and brush guardrail spraying and cutting. There was no bid on that, so we referred that back to the department to be able to see how we move forward with that, whether or not they rebid it or what they may do internally. The last bid that we had that we opened was 2021-049. We sent it out to 5 bidders, 3 responded. This was with regards to, refresh my memory, ice, sand.
Yeah, ice, sand.
That's it. The first one was Ruski Construction out of Niles, $84,980. The second was Michiana Aggregate of Niles, Michigan, for a total bid of $86,015. And the last was Hollerbach Excavating out of Stevensville, Michigan, for a total of $85,950. And we sent those bids back to the department to review, and then if everything met specifications, that they move forward with the lowest bidder. Madam Chair, those are the bids that we opened.
Thank you so much. The next thing that we did were waivers. There are a number of them, and it's a new process that we've put together, the Finance Committee, and we've been working on, because there are some things that need to be sole source. And as I tell you about these waivers, you'll understand even better why perhaps we're doing that rather than going out for a bid for new companies. The first waiver request we had was from Todd Johnson, the Director of Building and Grounds. And he would like very much to be able to go stay with the company of Andy Egan. This is about our control systems and parts. And we've had a number of companies that have worked on things, and our bills have been so high, electricity, whatever. And when we've had it looked at again, it was simply wires not connected the right way. A number of things that have happened that makes Todd Johnson, our director, feel like Andy Egan has installed many things and is doing it on bids that they received. And other companies were perhaps the lowest bid, but a number of times we've had to bring them in to redo things. And he'd like very much to be able to have, as they're doing the work in jail, trying to get things adjusted, that it be Andy Egan be the company. And for this year, there is a bid of $76,328. Our Commissioner Scott thought that following the process was what we should do, and putting out the request for bids. Because these things needed to be done, and because it had been shown that a number of errors had been made and needed to be corrected, we wanted to go with the director's request and waive, so that this year the company of Andy Egan will work on the HVAC and control systems for us. Then there was a request for a waiver from Jill Adams, our Director of Parks and Recreation. She would like to continue going with Ibid Electric, who does the regular repairs at Silver Beach. There are lights and things out, and they're working, getting ready, for the summer. And for many years, they've done it, and they have the parts and they know the system. And this is what she's asking for, is a $2,000 work. And if it's over that, she has the ability to spend up to $1,000 over. And so if it goes over $1,000, they will come back to us, but we agreed to that waiver. The next thing Jill Adams had for us was to order some parts for playground equipment that is at Madeline Bertrand Park. And it was, the reason she asked for a waiver is because the company is still in business. They installed the equipment in 1996. And our Commissioner Scott said, maybe is it time for us to look towards buying new parks equipment? And it is something that they're looking at. So just a number of things like that. The fact that this company is still in business and still have the parts, and the labor will be done by our staff. Then we requested a waiver from our Sheriff's Department on Motorola accessories. That's what the equipment is, and that's what we need to be able to get the batteries and parts and pieces. And so they're a sole source, and it's $1,131, and we agreed to that waiver. And then much like the other committee, Commissioner Harrison just talked about King Media those bills came to us and we waived them for $25,000 to go with King Media, and then for $17,000 to split a bill with Spectrum Lakeland for the Berrien County Health Department, because we've been doing business together and we want to continue the good relationship we have. And so we waived and agreed to that. And we were told that you all had, the PHSC, I hope I said that right, had already agreed and approved those bills. And then we had something for the road. Oh, we approved the paying the bills for the road department and also paying our regular bills. That was our committee meeting. We did ask our director, Brian Dissett, talk to us, and we kind of wanted to know about the jails. The doors hopefully will be done in early June. Those security doors will be late summer. Are those the ones that were rusting at installation? Yeah, hopefully by late summer, those will be. One thing Brian Dissett told us that the Finance Committee made a really good move last year, or maybe it was this year, in early ordering for the Sheriff's Department GM vehicles. Hopefully they'll get to us. The GM is struggling to get cars done. So hopefully those cars will be delivered because of the early ordering that we did. And I think we ordered one more, and soon after that, it was something else was total. And so that was our Finance Committee meeting today. Do you have any questions?
Anyone have anything for finance? All right, yes, Ezra.
Yeah, maybe did you announce, for Commissioner Harrison's notice, we had 14 people.
Thank you for that information. And thank you, Chairman Elliott.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. We will go to public comments regarding agenda resolutions. And for that, I suppose we should include the honorary resolution as well, because it is an agenda item on the consent calendar, the one ending in 5222. So let's pause for a moment, see if any comments come in.
Mac, you don't have any regarding the resolutions that are being voted on today?
A motion would be in order to approve the consent calendar. Is there a motion and support?
Commissioner Scott, so moved, Mac. Question on the motion of moving. Do we want to exclude B2105222 and deal with that separately with a reading, or just approve the consent calendar? I'm good with either.
Why don't we get support for the motion, and then we'll, during discussion prior to voting on the consent calendar, we will talk about that.
Thank you, Max. So moved.
Is there support for?
Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Ezra. Supported by? Is there support for the consent?
Mamie Yarbrough, I was muted. Support for the motion. Is that what you
Okay,
have?
so moved, supported by Yarbrough. Discussion.
Can't hear you.
It's been moved and supported now. And we're going to have discussion prior to voting on the consent calendar. And we've got the contract with Berrien Township to provide additional police services, the acknowledgement of National Public Health Week, and then the honorary resolution for Musetta Hilliard.
May I ask a
And
question, Mr.
that's,
Chairman?
yes, ma'am.
Where is Berrien Township? What is that? What is there? Have you ever heard of that? What is Berrien?
Berrien Township, you remember Berrien General Hospital,
Yes.
which was west of M140?
Yeah.
That's located in Berrien Township. And probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had a meeting at Berrien Township Hall. And I think by then Brian Bixby had left our board and had become supervisor of Berrien Township.
Okay.
And it's in that same neighborhood.
Okay.
So that's where it is.
Thank you. Because when I was seeing, I said, what if they left out? I thought maybe they left out Berrien Springs or something. Thank you.
It's east of Berrien Springs, actually,
Thank you.
because you have Berrien and Orinoco townships wrapping around the village of Berrien Springs.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Ms. Hilliard, I can remember her coming in for board meetings and discussions when I first came on the board, which has been a little while now. She outranks me because she began serving in 1976. So she beats me by 10 years. And she has indicated, as you can tell from the resolution, that it was time to step away. And so we found it to be entirely appropriate to recognize and honor her many, many years of good service. With that, are there any other comments before we ask the clerk to call the roll? Madam Clerk, please, if you would, roll call.
Freeling.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Meeks.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Borat.
Affirmative.
Wareful.
Yes.
Yarborough.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Kern.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Okay.
You forgot Majerick. I didn't chime in.
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. Let's say,
Yes.
okay. We added resolutions. So let's go down to the next item, which is board appointments through PHS. Bob, you want to speak to that?
Yes, we've got two for you to consider. The first is the Mental Health Board. And originally we had 2 applicants and then 1 withdrew. So we're recommending the appointment of Marion Triplett, a former Mental Health Board member, and we're recommending her appointment to the Mental Health Board. The second one is Debbie Ream, an alternate. And so actually this is replacing Musetta Hilliard's spot. Debbie was appointed as a alternate. And so our recommendation is that we advance her to fill the spot of Musetta Hilliard. So those are the 2 recommendations from the PHSC committee.
Are you making a motion to that effect?
That would be my motion, Mr. Chair.
All right, great. Is there support?
I would support that.
Will the clerk please take?
Majerick.
Yes, that was Majerick.
Moved by Harrison, supported by Majerick. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Majerick.
Yes.
Meeks.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Borat,
Yes.
Werfel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Curran,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
7 yeas.
Next, commission reports. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
Yes, Chairman Elliott, Mamie Yarborough, I do have a report I would like to make.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to let you all know that I am a member of the board of Connexus. And it's 2 representatives from each county, Cass, Van Buren, and Berrien County. And we're called the County Elected Official Board. We don't vote, but we have input and attend the meetings and all. And I'd like to let you know that there was a special meeting held on May 4th at 12:30 p.m. And what it was about was Connexus being appointed the educational service provider for CMU, Central Michigan University. Connexus has been working quite some time. It's Connexus / Michigan Works. It's kind of hard to say or know or whatever. But we have a Bridges Academy that we've had for many years. And what it is a dropout place for students that had dropped out of school or that were kicked out of school, or older people that had not finished, wanted to get a GED or job training or whatever. And we have had a time ever since it was created, finding someone for it to be under. And it started out being under Benton Harbor area schools, then it was with Coloma schools, and right now it's with Berrien Springs schools, and maybe the 2nd or 3rd year. And Berrien Springs has given Bridges notice that they will not do it again after June of this year. And so they've been working all the time trying to figure out what to do and what they were working on. And they said they didn't really want to do this. This was the last effort, is to become a charter school. But they have, with this meeting that we had on May 4th, they voted to be the educational services provider to the charter school that is, I guess, called Bridges Academy, that will be in Benton Harbor. And we had enough members, they worked to have a quorum, because there are a lot of members on this board. It's a big board. I don't know how many people, 30 or whatever. And so I was on the Benton Harbor School Board for 9 years. I've been with Connexus ever since I've been a commissioner, so about 17, 18 years. So I'm very familiar with all of that, what they've been through. But I'm also totally against a charter school that pulls students from Benton Harbor. And I was hoping that they could have worked out something, because Benton Harbor students do go and perhaps are referred to Bridges and have had success. And I want people to have the opportunity to continue to go to school. But I voted no for this to happen, because we continue, and Benton Harbor has more charter schools than anybody in the world. And I don't say just Benton Harbor. And I asked, would these just be Benton Harbor or Berrien County students? And what they told me is, no, this will be open to Van Buren County students, Cass County students, and Berrien County students. And so the vote was 2 nay. It was me and the president of Lake Michigan College that voted no, and 1 member, because he is a member of a public school board where he lives, abstained, and the rest voted yes. So there is now another charter school in the city of Benton Harbor that is accepting students from Van Buren, Cass, and Berrien County. And I wanted you all to know that, and for you to know that I voted no, if you wonder why. That is my reason. I don't think it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamie. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Mamie did vote no. I voted yes, but Benton Harbor don't have a trade, so any kind of work, and I voted yes because of the trades. I've been a product of the trades over 40 years, and I kind of think that we kind of need the trades to continue it. So I voted a little different than Mamie, but I do feel Mamie's concern about the charter schools. But the only reason I did vote yes is because of the desperate need of trades in our area. And also Ben Harbor don't have anything going on. And at that point where we can educate, like I say, I'm a product of it. And I did it for 40 years. And everybody's not college material. So my thing is, if I can come in and they say, I'm kind of excited about being on that board. And I kind of figured I have something to offer. And I'm going to do what I can to help the people. It's not only Ben Harbor, it's other communities. So it's not just, it's going to help. It's going to help every district around here that want to participate in that. So, and being said that, maybe you didn't miss much, but I want people to know my opinion also.
Okay.
So, at the point, but like I say, I'm gonna do the best I can.
Okay.
And I understand where you're coming. I do feel you, Mamie. That is a problem with the charter schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, Commissioner Meeks. I understand.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any report to make?
Mac, this is Commissioner Scott. It's really not a report. Just want to advise all the county commissioners that coming up Friday, May 14th at noon at the Berrien County Law Enforcement Officers Monument at Lake Bluff Park in St. Joe will be the annual Peace Officers Memorial Service hosted by the Fraternal Order of Police, Blossomland Lodge number 100, and that's May 14th at noon on the bluff at the memorial. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll move then to the administrator. Brian, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, members of the board and to the public, today's presentation by Merit Network will be posted onto the county's website. I'll be including it into the weekly update, and we'll do everything possible to get it pushed out to anyone and everyone that wants to see it. Those are my comments, sir.
Thank you. That stimulates a thought. Would it be all right with everyone if we specifically share that link with the township, village, and city clerks? Everyone
I'm good
okay
with
with
that.
that? Or let's see. All right, if anybody's not good with it, speak up now or forever hold your peace. All right, Mr. Administrator, will you make that happen?
Yeah, we have a spirited debate going amongst people in the room on how best to make that happen, but the answer is yes, we will share it with the public and try to figure out how to get it out to all the local units.
I'll leave those technical details, those who know how to do so. Okay, let's pause for general public comments.
Mike Hildebrand from Orinoco Township. He's actually the supervisor at Orinoco Township. Thank you to the county for undertaking the broadband survey. The results are not surprising, but the results compared to the FCC maps are appalling at how incorrect the FCC maps are. Please continue pushing for solutions as residents are desperate for services and providers. Orinoco Township has committed to being an early adopter of these solutions that become available, and we look forward to pursuing broadband for every one of our residents. Mr. Hildebrand was actually one of them earlier, had asked about where the location of that presentation was, and I directed him to our website. And I believe that is all. I will ask one more time.
All right, while we're waiting to see if anything else comes through, Julie, I just saw a thing come on the screen, was suggesting that media, and I'm thinking print or easiest would be the print media, but anyone else who wants to, if they can provide a link in any coverage that they have today for the broadband presentation, that would be much appreciated. And thank you, Julie, for that suggestion. Anything else, Annette, on general comments?
Adolph Pelzer from Hager Township. Why are the high athletes, soccer and I believe he means baseball, BB, having to wear masks while playing in college and pros not? The kids are the most healthy of our population. It makes no sense.
No argument. Anything else?
I believe that's all.
Other business. Does anyone have other business?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to request that we start a plan to go back to in-person meetings, perhaps in June, with the CDC lifting outdoor guidance and the governor adapting that guidance. That our parks can certainly accommodate our meetings or for outdoors, or if we do indoors, if we go to a hybrid method with the commission being together and then the public on Zoom. I witnessed an excellent rendition of that hybrid model with St. Joe Charter Township last month, I'm sorry, and worked really well. I'd just like to really request that we consider that and move forward with it.
Okay, thanks. We're also looking at scheduling a night meeting tentatively in July. Location to be determined. The logistics for an outdoor meeting, I passed that on to the administrator, and it wouldn't surprise me if that is referred back to the full administration committee for discussion in terms of how we could implement it. Be more inclined to meet inside and figure out how to best accommodate having the public. The one hurdle that still presents itself is, if we're doing this, are we going to also need to be on YouTube? And not only be on YouTube for the sake of someone being able to see and hear us, but we would need to be able to see and hear them. So we have a few things to figure out, but for now, Jim, I'm going to send this to you for further discussion and admin with the administrator to set.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Mac.
All right. Anything else under other business? If not, there are announcements and reminders that you can see, 4 items on the agenda for today. PHS, admin and finance all meeting next Thursday morning, starting at 8 a.m. and going 30-minute intervals from then. And then, of course, our meeting next Thursday at 10:30. One thing of note for today, in 8 minutes, the National Day of Prayer begins. And it is something that I believe you can tap into area code 701-801-6523. Again, 701-801-6523. Does anyone have anything else we need to go over this morning? If not, then we stand adjourned to Thursday next at 10:30 in the morning. Everyone have a good day.
Thank you.